What is mental health? Do we even know some of the mental health issues that are affecting us on a daily? But, deeper into that, do we understand what mental health issues, how they impact their key populations? To help us dissect this conversation, I'm joined by Sister Mapaseka Mabena for today's Clinical Monday as we look at mental health issues affecting key populations. Is it depression? Is it anxiety? Does the environment have an influence in our mental state? Well, let's answer all these questions and more just in a bit on Clinical Monday. Make sure that you join the conversation on all social media platforms. Welcome. Clinical Monday, the best way to begin a healthy week, live on Oran Pop's Facebook page, on X at N_health, on Instagram at Oran Pop N, also on YouTube at Oran Pop N. www.popn.org gets you the behind the scenes. Welcome to it. Happy Monday to you and yours. My name is Nkosi for Oran Pop in Chats, and today for yet another edition we are looking at mental health, especially mental health issues, looking at key populations. What is mental health? The day-to-day activities that we do. Do we even know that we are mentally challenged, so to speak? So to help us speak about this and more, she is no stranger to the platform. I'm having flashbacks. I remember the beginning, the first episode, guys. We are good 3 years later, and we are still here, still pushing. Yes. Their name is Mapaseka Mabena. She is the project coordinator out at Oran Pop in Eguruleni, and also she doubles every now and then in being a clinician, and that's why she's here. Sister Pasi, good morning.
Thank you, V. Good morning. It's good to be here.
Yes. Yes, again.
Again.
3 years later. 3 years. 3 years later, mark that. But thank you so much for your time. We are talking something slightly different than what you and I would usually talk about. I mean, obviously talk about HIV, STIs, and but today we are looking at mental health. Just take us through, for those that don't understand what mental health is. What is mental health, to set us off?
Right. So I'm glad that we are discussing this very, 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 very important topic. So first of all, mental health includes your emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects how one thinks, feels, and acts. And again, if you look at it again, it also determines, how one interacts with others, how you make your healthy choices, how you bond with other people. So basically, mental health, it involves all of those three major aspects, which is your psychological, emotional, and social well-being.
I got you. So it is possible that a person can have a healthy mental health, like healthy mental health, but also people can be have mental health issues. What are some of the signs and symptoms of mental health issues?
Right, so mental health signs and symptoms, they vary depending on the specific disorder. However, we do have the common signs and symptoms that we can assist in terms of identifying. So for instance, number one, it can be changes in the mood disorder, whereby now there's extreme mood swings, where there's feeling of sadness and hopelessness, irritability. And remember, you must underline the term extreme, because we don't want to misdiagnose one. So extreme part is very important, because it happens that I'm allowed to be angry, and then a situation another comes and I'm happy. And then also another one, it is the changes in appetite, where there is a low or decreased appetite. You know that you are how you eat and all that, then suddenly there's changes. And then also again, the other common one, it is disturbed thoughts and perception, whereby one can experience hallucinations and delusions, which is something that you cannot also identify on your own. It needs a professional to be able to assist you in terms of identifying that. And also changes in your did I mention appetite?
Yes.
Changes in your sleep patterns. Suddenly you're experiencing insomnia, or you oversleeping, you know, everything in your life has changed. And also physical symptoms as well, you might have them, you know, suddenly you have this extreme headache, even after taking Panado, it's not resolved. You know, others, you have symptoms with no physical cause. You know, you feel like you've had an injury, but there's nothing. You go for x-ray, and you know, sometimes we call those a somatoformic disorder. And then we also have substance abuse, you know, whereby others, they take substance as a resort to self-medication in a way, to say, okay, I can identify that I'm suffering from this, but I think alcohol is a short way in terms of me being managed to,
hectic. And I think substance abuse would be the most, I'd say, common symptom, because I mean, others, like you've mentioned, someone might not pick them up, but when we see the extremes of it, and in most cases it is substance abuse, when we see the extreme of substance abuse, then we are able to detect with Ekman. It's not make sure that you are sure that you are okay. So I think it is as common. So it would be one of the common mental health issues. Then why is mental health important? Because I mean, you touched on the three aspects: psychological, social, and so then why is it important for us to have like sort of like overall mental health or overall health?
So overall mental health is very, very important, as I have mentioned, that it also assists us in terms of decision making and interacting, because you can imagine, for instance, our program is an HIV management program, and diagnosing an individual with HIV and expecting them to adhere on their ART treatment, where else they have unresolved mental health issues, that on its own can affect the adherence. And you know, the professional healthcare worker might not be aware of such. So it's very, very important that we look into such matters, you know, mental health screening and having those, you know, interventions, because you'll find that the person comes to you every month, you're giving them medication, and then you monitor the viral load, it doesn't speak to what is happening, you know, not noticing that we are missing the mental health
aspect of it. Ooh, and it's quite important that, you know, we need to know, and I'm glad you are touching on what the program does, you know, as HIV management, but also the kind of people that the program serves, key population. So generally, you know, the perception is key populations are, you know, suffering from you know, challenges that might also lead to them being mental health issues, and you know, the sort of like the idea is, you know, we just treat HIV, but we don't look at beyond, you know, what you're saying. It might affect their adherence if they are mental health or they are challenged mentally. Let's talk about, you know, can your mental health change over time? You speak about, you know, taking it into the program. It's an HIV management program. Can that, obviously that can affect, but over time, can it change? Can it also change back? You just found out that you're HIV positive, you have mental health issues, they're extreme, you're resorting to substance abuse, you're resorting to all these things, you know, can you change back over time, or is over time going to be the extreme, a worst case scenario where you like, now I cannot take it, breakdowns and
that's true. It does change back and forth. Hence, it's sometimes even difficult to diagnose and manage, because it can be on an acute stage whereby you've got those minor simple symptoms that one cannot easily identify. You would be like, okay, I'm changing appetite, maybe it's because I'm happy, I've got money, whatever, you know, or I'm unable to sleep because of
stress at work,
studies, work, and all that, you know, and then you're missing some of the things, and then it goes to moderate, and then gradually increases to severe. So that is where now it's very dangerous, because that is where now we start to, you know, having those suicidal ideas, you know, especially a person with a major depressive disorder, you know, we start to see now those anxiety disorder, that's now it's uncontrollable anxiety, you know, we are shaking everywhere, you know, it's schizophrenic, when now you become, you know, a danger to self, or also a danger to others, you know. So it does change back and forth, especially if it's identified early, it's better, whereby now you can engage with psychotherapy, counseling, and so forth, and then we'll put you into treatment, then we are back to. So basically it's finding the cause that will help us, you know, what is it that is causing all this, and then we get to resolve all those matters.
What are some of the mental health issues that you've seen in your community? Mental health issues that you've seen with self, you know? I like when you said you're losing appetite because you are happy, you have money. Ganti, it's a mental health something and you're not sure of it, but share those with us on all our social media platforms. We are on X, it is @n_health, with the hashtag that never changes is Clinical Monday. Also on Facebook @orampopin. Looking forward to seeing your comments and reading them as we go. You spoke about getting into the cause of what causes the mental health, and I want to relate it to HIV. I found out that I'm HIV positive, and maybe perhaps I don't even have a history of mental health disorders or issues. Can that sort of spark or start a mental health issue just because I cannot, come to terms with the fact that, oh, Mapaseka just told me that I have HIV? Can I get into that, roller coaster, so, as it were, of mental health issues just because I'm battling or the cause was me finding out that I'm HIV positive?
True, it does happen a lot of time, and as we have mentioned, that our program is a key population program because number one, you would understand that there's that stigma and discrimination against MSM and transgender women, saying that people you are sleeping around and so forth and so forth, and then now suddenly you are diagnosed with HIV. There's a lot happening because number one, we are dealing with the fact that you need your family to accept you, who you are, how and then there's this HIV that comes as a burden as well. You're giving medication. You see the health worker is talking. You see the lips are moving. There's a lot happening. Especially with this current UTT. Like it's a journey. And sometimes HIV can trigger all of those things because one has got to deal with a lot. Now you think about, you need to disclose to your partner, to your family, how you go about that, and it's difficult if you don't have that one person who will take you through the process and who has been there as well. It's very important. That is why I also emphasize the importance of peer-to-peer counseling, because it's better to be counseled by someone who has been there, also being professionally trained as well to assist you.
I got you. So it definitely can. Let's talk. You touched on disorders like your anxieties, depression, schizophrenic, and my question was going to be, can mental health issues lead to other disorders? So perhaps maybe let's say in the beginning I was just like I'm just anxious naturally as a person. Gandhi is a mental health issue. Can it lead to me having now depression, or now I'm to the extremes? I have sort of graduated from just it being something simple, something manageable if it was detected early, to now being the most extremist of disorders.
It does definitely go there, especially if left unattended. Hence I'm saying, if immediately, it's very important that one, currently we have these online screening tools that you can simply log in and go through them, because I think early detection and identification, can really assist one, because I'm telling you, if you ignore those signs and symptoms, they can definitely lead you to now being diagnosed and having a final diagnosis of a major depressive disorder or anxiety disorder. That will also depend on treatment, and we don't want that. Our aim is to ensure that we reduce hospitalization. I think prevention is better than cure, and early identification can definitely assist one in terms of.
I got you. Then let's talk about the mental health services. What kind are they? Are they out there? You're touching on Pop-In being a HIV managing program. Obviously that speaks to a lot with HIV, but what are some of the services that are out there for people who are dealing with mental health issues? Are they easily accessible? Are they out there on our fingertips? Take us through.
Right, so number one, we've got an intervention which is psychotherapy, whereby you can get counseling by a professional trained counselor. So most of the time you find those online and so forth, but however, as Keep Hope program, we do have peers that have been trained and who can provide that to our peers. And then also again, you can also go to the nearest facility. There's mental health screening there where you can be screened, and then according to the results, then you can be referred to the psychiatrist or the psychologist, which will determine whether you need to be put on medication or counseling therapy sessions would assist you. And also again, when now in severe cases, that is when can lead to hospitalization, whereby it's either you get yourself admitted or get an assisted admission, because our Mental Health Care Act covers all those to say we have assisted and unassisted, and what is the process of all those things. And also again, as I have mentioned, peer counseling as well is available out there for people to
I got you. How can we overcome it? So I'm sitting at home and watching this episode, I'm like, oh, Mapaseka is talking to me or talking at me, because I'm sort of presenting with these, say, mental health issues, and they are still at a acute stage. So how can one self overcome these mental health issues sort of episodes before they get to a point where now it's hospitalization or it's worse?
So I think it's very important, especially now with the internet and the technology that is available. It's very important that one does their own research, so that you can have that knowledge. You know by the time you go to the professional healthcare worker, you know where to start, what questions to ask, and it also will guide the healthcare professional to say, okay, V came to me and then is saying he's experiencing this, let us go through what can be the possible cause and so forth, and then we get to come up with the final diagnosis and assist you further.
Most definitely. So definitely go out there. Their services are out and available for you if you feel like you are dealing with one mental health issue to another, and make sure that you get yourself in check. Well, Sister Mapaseka, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it, and thank you so much for giving us the insight when it comes to all things mental health.
Thank you.
Alrighty, with that said, that has been yet another amazing edition of Clinical Monday. We're going to catch you on the next one as we look at yet another clinical topic. Make sure that you follow us on all social media platforms. On X, it is at @in_health, and make sure that you pop in at your nearest pop insights. Staff is friendly, the space is safe, you leave with treats, all sorts of treats that you can think of. Make sure that you pop in there, and until then, happy streaming. Bye. So the takeaway is, yes, we are dealing with mental health issues, and sometimes they might be acute or little manageable, simple, but sometimes they can graduate into being now you need to be hospitalized, and there can be disorders, depression, anxiety and all. Seek help as soon as you realize that there's something wrong. Even if you are losing appetite and you're thinking, I'm just happy, I want to lose that, but make sure that you get the help that you need. Help is always available, and make sure that you pop in. And that has been yet another exciting episode of Clinical Monday, where we look at mental health in K-pop's. Gonna see you on the next one.